Homeland Security Advisor, Stephen Miller. Stephen, you're such a superstar, Stephen. They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and I said, you should sue them, Stephen. I think he will. I hope he does.
Let me just say, Mr. President, that this country was going to die without you.
That's the dumbest. Is it the dumbest? No, I can't just say that it's the dumbest thing I've heard. I pay attention to the news, so it's dumb. I will say that it's very, very dumb. And also be very. I'm going to say this just in case Donald Trump watches this. Stephen Miller doesn't believe it at all. Stephen Miller doesn't respect you at all. Stephen Miller is in this for Stephen Miller. He is an utter sociopath. You think he has any more care for you or empathy for you, Donald Trump, than he does for anybody else? He's pursuing his own power. He's pursuing the quest he's had his entire life. Revenge against brown people. That's what this is all about. He doesn't care about you. You saved America. Inflation's higher today than it was at the end of last year. The number of different, the country is in utter chaos. Not least of all in terms of homeland security. So I know that's what their little meeting was about. Bear in mind, troops are on the ground in multiple US cities. Stephen Miller considers that to be saving America. I think the vast majority of the American public disagrees. So anyway, that's what they're meeting to talk about. So you have this prior executive order that Donald Trump had signed to set up this Homeland Security Task Force, basically trying to go into every state, meddle in their affairs. You don't trust them to deal with their own problems, and end the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and blah, blah, blah across America. So they're meeting to congratulate themselves on that. And so let's go to a little bit more of Miller on his theory that Donald Trump alone saved America.
This country was going to die without you. This country was going to actually die without you. That's what we were facing in 2024. We've been invaded for 4 years. Our communities were sinking. Our public safety had gone to zero. Cartels were running entire communities. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, labor trafficking was out of control. Overdoses were out of control. The cartels were claiming more and more territory. City services were buckling. This was a country on the verge of dying. And you alone saved it. And when you stepped forward, originally in 2016, you started the movement to make America great again. And that means make America great again in every way. And that means safety and prosperity and peace and freedom from cartels and crime and gangs. And your vision and your leadership in declaring war on the drug cartels is the single most successful public safety initiative in American history.
I'm a little bit worried that video might have sent a notification on Mike Johnson's phone. Stephen Miller would have you believe he's a big fan of Donald Trump. Oh, he believes all that BS about cartels owning territory and blah, 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 whatever. Look, that, Nina, I think it's very embarrassing that Stephen Miller, like, to have the power that he has to do that. And again, to a man that he definitely does not respect. And bear in mind, Donald Trump was being very nice to Stephen Miller in that little video, but behind the scenes, he also mocks Stephen Miller as a complete weirdo. And I've never felt closer to Donald Trump than when he mocks how weird Stephen Miller is, because he's definitely right. But as embarrassing as it is for Stephen Miller to do that, I think, and I know that MAGA will never get this, they can't see it. Stephen Miller is doing that because he has read into Donald Trump that Donald Trump has to hear that. Donald Trump does all of these meetings to get a bunch of people to take turns telling him how great he is. And I think that is one of the saddest things that I've ever heard in my life. If I ever headed up an organization or was elected to office and you saw me doing that with my staff, put me out of my misery, because that is no way to live a life. That is so utterly pathetic. This man is a literal billionaire, has been president twice, owns multiple corporations, and is still so empty inside after all of that, that he needs these people to just compliment him for hours at a time. I just think that is so sad. And obviously, Nina, I'm sure you're more concerned with the substance of how they're invading these cities and the terrible things they're doing in terms of the mass deportation and all that. But just the displays of obsequiousness, the North Koreanness of it all is just utterly pathetic. What do you think?
I mean, it's idol worship. So for all them Christians out there, I mean, they have definitely made this president a god of sorts. And if you have to grovel to the president like that on a regular basis, I mean, you got to question whether or not that's the life for you. Obviously, it is, that proximity to power, but it's creepy, John. I mean, it was hard for me to listen to this again. It's painful, and he talks about the cartels and the children and the pedophiles and the rape. I don't know if he used the word pedophile, but release the Epstein files.
Yep.
Right, he should be #1 on the list or in the top 10 within the Trump administration, saying release the Epstein files if you care so much about this. This is really sick. It is absolutely sick. And in Psychology 101, you learn about the id and the ego. And it's very clear that our president, to a point that you were making, John, has not advanced beyond the me. I mean, those of you who watched Mr. Smith when he went after Neil and he said, me. And that's the type of president that we have.
Yeah. And the issue is that this is not just, like a psychological failing of the president. It matters because these people surround him. They get in that position by sucking up to him, by licking his boots. And then once they're in those positions, they get to do what they want to do. Violate the law, violate people's constitutional rights, and everywhere and always personally enrich themselves at the expense of the taxpayers. And he doesn't care if they do any of this, if they break the law, as long as they say nice things to him. It is so pathetic, and it's pathetic and it matters.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.